Have you ever looked at the grass beneath your feet and wondered what, if anything, lay beneath? Underneath the topsoil and held together by the roots of long-forgotten trees lies another world. So it was, deep beneath the forests of Westbourne, below the roots and the soil, the rocks and the underground streams, there were caverns as big as houses connected by tunnels of every size. The creatures that inhabited these caves sometimes wondered what lay above their world, but they never ventured forth. That was until Crindale the Younger decided to find out. Crindale was one of the thousands of mole people who lived deep beneath the forest, crawling about in the permanent darkness, etching a life out of the damp earth. Crindale and his tribe were well adapted to life under the ground. It was a comfortable existence. No great dramas, one day much the same as the next. They were all very happy, and why shouldn't they be? They knew no other life. But Crindale yearned for more. He felt the need to explore and experience new things. Dangerous thoughts for one of his kind, or so the elders told him and the rest of his year at the coming-of-age gathering. There are reasons for doing things the old way. The outer caves are not safe. Don't look for trouble and it won't look for you. Every year it was the same. Stay close, stay safe, stay within your boundaries. There is nothing out there worth yearning for. But yearn he did, and by gradually exploring the caves and tunnels in his spare time, Crindale found a passageway that led further up than he had ever been. Many times he tried to reach its end before running out of time. No one knew how far he had gone, and if they found out, he would have been called up before the council. Winter came, and everyone gathered to survive the cold and lack of food. Exploration had to wait, and wait it did. But not for long. After the first thawing of the snow, and once the underground streams had settled, Crindale decided it was time to find out what lay beyond his world. The passageway had been partially blocked over the winter, and the clearing was tiring work. But Crindale had strong claws, and gradually the passage opened into a cave where the light was almost blinding. It took some hours to adjust, but he was determined to see what lay at the end of his journey. The cave opened onto a clearing in the forest. It was cool, and the light was filtered enough to look around as long as he stayed within the shadow of the cave. Crindale had never seen anything like it. Plants and trees were completely new to him. All he was familiar with were the roots of those same trees deep beneath the earth. Just below the edge of the cave, a deep pool flashed with the colour of the trees and the light of the sun. It hurt to look, but he could not stop, for there, at the edge of the pool, was the most beautiful creature he had ever seen. Sitting on the edge of a leaf, she fluttered her large wings. The patterns and colours were almost too much to take in at one time. You and I might say it's just a butterfly, but to Crindale she represented everything about the upper world, light and colour and beauty and life. Her name was Selenthré, and she loved the Pool of Dreams. That was her special place, and she spent as much time there as she could. It was a place where she could see and talk to all the creatures that inhabited the woods. A place where she could imagine things that might be, that could have been. Crindale watched from the safety of the cave as the animals of the forest came to drink at the pool and talk to Selenthré. The rhythmic movement of her wings was hypnotic, like the beating of a heart. As the afternoon sun moved to the west, Crindale found he could move further and further toward the mouth of the cave. His view of this new world expanded, and he could see the paths that led into the forest and the frogs that made the strangest of noises while sitting by the edge of the pool. The centre of his view, however, never changed. He could not take his eyes off Selenthré and her wings. As the afternoon sun faded, Crindale faded. It had been a big day, and far too much for a small creature who usually never went anywhere. The rhythmic beating of Selenthrés' wings finally took its toll, and he fell asleep at the mouth of the cave. Even with his eyes closed, Crindale could tell the sun was shining directly on him. There was no way he could open them, and he wasn't sure which way to move. But he had to get out of the sun. His skin was burning hot, and the blisters had already started to appear. Suddenly a shadow moved across his face, and a cool breeze refreshed him. It was Selenthré. She had seen his struggle in the morning sun and moved to the mouth of the cave to offer some help. It was enough to get him going, and the relief of moving into the shadow of the cave was instant. The burning sun was gone. He could turn and look. There she was, larger than life, so close and yet so far. Selenthré stayed and talked most of the day. Her wings never stopped pushing the cooling breeze across his face. and the frogs brought water for him to drink. As the afternoon wore on and the shadows moved to the edge of the cave, Crindale was able to move out again. He was in a sore and sorry state, but the effort was worth it. Selenthré gently touched her wings to his face and left a fine trace of powder. As darkness fell, she said good night, but he knew it was goodbye. He could not stay. He could never venture out of the cave, and she could never venture in. It was time to go home. The news of his return to the deep caves caused much consternation. No one knew what to think, much less what to do, so they listened as Crindale told them of his adventure. Deep beneath the forests of Westbourne, below the roots in the soil, the rocks and the underground streams, there are caverns as big as houses connected by tunnels of every size. The creatures that inhabit these caves sometimes wondered what lay above their world, but they never ventured forth. That was until Crindale the Younger decided to find out. His stories were now legend, and the young moles eagerly listened as he gave the coming-of-age speech to the new generation. There are reasons for doing things the old way, but that doesn't mean there isn't a better way sometimes. You can stay close, stay safe, stay within your boundaries, or you can strive and search and dream. Some dreams may never come true, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have them. For even striving to touch a dream that fades into the night is worth the effort because it changes you. It helps you grow, and maybe one day you'll be ready for a dream that does come true.